Joseph, who was in Seattle last year, he said the buzz has been really, really great out there. They've done a fantastic job of creating some hype, so they are selling that stuff like hotcakes out there.
It doesn't.
And that's technically what you're starting to expect with a new franchise, especially now that you have this sense that, hey, the first year you could be pretty good. You're not like, well, this is going to be a tough 5 years as we build it. You now believe you can win. And when you watched them last night, they were missing some guys.
They fought, man.
They were pretty good. Yeah.
They're down 3-0. They kept
Very
scrappy. They kept fighting. They were fighting. They weren't making excuses, see? And that's what you do in sports. You fight. You hang in there. You give yourself a chance to win. You don't make excuses.
Fight
no excuses.
till the bitter end.
I just saying, I didn't like them. I mean, I know a lot of people do it. I was like, no, thumbs down. Don't care for them. Maybe the home ones are better, Elijah. I don't know. Don't know.
The home ones look really good.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion.
They have a 5-game road trip first.
Yikes. Are they still touching up, giving a little paint to the new arena? What's going on?
I think maybe that's what they had in mind when they did that, just to be sure. Cause
installing the toilets in the bathroom?
Maybe, but from what I'm told, they're ready to go. But I think when they made the schedule, they just, I think, gave them a little cushion. Just like with the Islanders. How long are the Islanders on the road? They got a lot of road games, like 13 or something.
Yeah, they come home and open up their building on Thanksgiving.
I think that's right.
And then they have a 19-game homestand.
Now in the East, you can still sleep in your own bed. You play the Devils, you play the Rangers, you bop up and down to Philly, to Washington. I think they only go on one real big road trip anyway. So it's a little easier to pull off in the East, as we've talked about for years, than it is in the West, particularly for the Islanders. So it's not quite as bad as it sounds.
Well, I mean, I just think they build in that extra time for the new building to make sure that
because we know that
you never know.
Sometimes it's just not quite
ready.
The greatest story ever about the Nashville arena was the very first event was the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. Brand new building. We did the show in there. There was still the dust and sawdust, everything cranking up. And Scott Ramsey told a great story. He goes, some people bought seats and they went to their seat and the seat hadn't been built.
Wasn't there?
Wasn't the front escalator that wasn't there yet, right?
Didn't exist.
No, it didn't
exist.
No.
That big, huge, long escalator that gives me the heebie-jeebies when I ride it because I'm scared of heights. That wasn't even there. Didn't exist.
But can you imagine? Yes, Usher, can you show me to my seats? Yes, sure. Come on down. Here's row 6. Row A, seat 6, 7. Seat 6 is here, but seat 7 is.
I got seat 6 and I got seat 8, but I don't have seat 7.
I got a little gap here for you. Would you take seat 9?
We'll get you a fold-out chair.
What did you guys think of ESPN doing the hockey games?
I thought it was fun.
It was fun to see them back on there.
It's good to hear the music.
The music was cool. It was a throwback. I think they kind of played it as a throwback some. Yeah. I don't know if that means as much to some as it does to others. I think the chemistry between all the people will only get better. And what you have to get used to as well is once that game's over, it is sayonara off to SportsCenter.
Yeah.
There's no post game and interviews on the bench. You're not going to get any of that stuff.
You're not going to go to the studio? No.
Nope. It is. See you later.
Not going to go to LC and Weeksy?
Well, they went to they did that in intermission, but
no, I know.
And I liked them together. Thought they were fine.
Yeah.
But
there was good effort. I mean,
let me just tell you, I wanted to get Mr. NASCAR. The sounds of the game. I was like,
yeah, they tried some things.
They're going to try new things.
I'm going to give them that. They're trying, but I was like, I don't know if that one really translates well. Like NASCAR, I get it. It does. If you've ever been in that situation, I mean, it's impressive. I did it this year for the Nashville Super Speedway, and I mean, you get hit with rubber. I mean, it's impressive. How just the wind and the noise I mean, it's when you see it up close. But it translates to television, but I didn't think last night really translated.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with trying things, but I was like,
Okay, let me throw it back at you this way though, Darren, because I noticed that too. But did they get a little bit of bad luck? Because literally nothing happened when they did it.
Maybe so.
Like what you would have loved would be if somebody had a crushing hit and there was a big board thing or you could hear instructions being yelled out, which was pretty cool. Like, the defenseman shouting instructions back and forth to, where to put the pass when you turn your back to the crowd and stuff. But other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of sounds that happened that you would hope happen when you do that. Is that fair? Like if they did it again, maybe they get better luck and you have some really fun sounds like the rise and fall of the crowd noise. They didn't really get that when they tried it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You're right. Nothing really happened, so it just kind of was met with a thud. There just wasn't much going on. So I was just like, they tried, but I was like, oh.
But think about it. If you're like, what if they had tried that at the Lightning game? That crowd sat on their hands the whole time.
They certainly did.
Because I don't think I've watched that team in years have a night where they got less.
Well, you know what sounds
chances.
You would have heard? Popcorn, $3.
Yeah.
Popcorn.
Beer here. Yeah,
Beer here.
They couldn't get any shots. It's crazy.
Robbie Stanley sending me a Kraken goal. No, Robbie, no. It does not. He's trying to convince me to go over to the other side for the Kraken logo, and then no, it's just I'm still giving it a thumbs down. Maybe that's the home. Maybe the home's going to look better. I'm just going to go with that. All right. Our buddy Elliot Friedman, who I think starts tomorrow. Are we starting our weekly with him?
That
tomorrow?
Is correct.
We are in the weekly mode. David Poyle was yesterday. We spoke to him about this. Chris Mason will start his weekly with us in the final hour today. Elliot Friedman tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And Elliot has put out there 4 years, $6.25. So 4 years, $25 million for defenseman Matthias Ekholm. I guess they will make it official today at 1 o'clock. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they have a major hockey announcement at 1 o'clock. I think we can put together what that is. Adam Vingan has a breakdown. He'll earn 5.5 this year and then 6.5, or next year, I should say, and then 6.5 with the 3 years after that. I thought it was right around where it needed to be. 4 years, I love that term. Not too long, in my opinion. And then 6.25, that's roughly a $2 million bump than what he was making now. So I think it's a fair contract. I think it totally works for him, and I know that they wanted to get that done. I felt that they would get it done before the season started, and it appears that they have.
I think when you heard David Poyle yesterday on our show, you could kind of sense, if you were really listening to him, that the Ekholm deal was a priority, and he gave – this is what I was looking for from him. When he says, we want him here, he wants to be here, it almost always gets done.
Right.
He didn't say, hey, we're about to get this done, but I had a pretty good feeling, especially based on Matthias Ekholm. And, Darren, I heard you guys doing this on the preview show last night. You guys pointed out Matthias had said, hey, I kind of like to get this done. I don't want to really go through a negotiation during the season. So you put all that together, and you're not really surprised to hear this. This is good news. I'd like to take a little more time when we have more time because we got Paul Feinbaum coming up and look at the long range of this. Sure. Because I think you can say this about almost any long-term deal that is signed. Hey, I'm not sure that's going to age well, but that kind of happens with every long-term contract. Mika Zibanejad just signed a huge one with the Rangers the other day. I think you'd say the exact same thing. It's a reality of the top players when you pay the big money that you're taking a risk on the back end of the contract. But I'd like to we can break it down a little bit more later in the show when we have more time. I think it's a really interesting thing to see what they've done with Ekholm, with Ellis, and the whole transition, which was the term that David Poyle used yesterday, about how they're transitioning to becoming a younger team.
We'll talk with Paul Feinbaum. Hey, Paul. We'll talk to him next here on the DDC, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
In one day.
He scores! Nashville
Predators hockey returns.
We're set the table to give ourselves a good chance to get off to a good start, so we got to get ready for Seattle.
Your exclusive home for every second of the action is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
102.5 The Game has your chance to win Preds tickets all month long. Just post a picture of your radio dial set to 102.5 The Game on social media and tag the game and use hashtag TicketDash to be instantly qualified. All brought to you by Social Furniture. Shop local. Shop social.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're gonna get paid. You need a sports book that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sports book, BetUS.com.
Up to 200% sign-up bonus. Support the station and use code GAME.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Sail on in to Electronic Express for a boatload of deals during our Columbus Day sales event. Huge savings in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers and headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. Discover huge savings during the Columbus Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Jared Stillman. Guys, are you tired of feeling old? You know that feeling. You don't have any energy. You're gaining pounds. Well, guess what? My friends at Invigorate Health are the ones to help you. They don't just focus on one area of the aging body. They take care of all of it with so many different therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you specifically in mind. So give them a try. Invigorate Health if you want to feel young again. Out in Mount Juliet at 615-288-4777 or InvigorateHealthTN.com.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks is ready to help lift Nashville. As the Southeast's most trusted name in crane and equipment rental for over 30 years, Craneworks offers certified operators to make sure the job is done right. Rentalworks has a diverse fleet of equipment to assist in any project, big or small. From forklifts to carry deck cranes, they have it all. When it's time for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project, call Craneworks. Visit craneworks.com.
Zines First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So your wipers are streaking? It might be time for a new set. We've got a great deal to help you get the job done and get ready for that rainy fall weather. Right now, you can get a $15 AutoZone gift card when you buy 2 Bosch Envision wiper blades. And we've even got more ways to shop. Just order online with our free same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
This Sunday.
Someone said football, so I come running.
It's an NFL doubleheader.
Mahomes over the top, touchdown. McLaurin, touchdown.
The Kansas City Chiefs visit the Washington football team.
There he goes. Cowboys came with the heat. Jones looking end zone for Henry. He's got it.
Followed by Cowboys and Patriots. Doubleheader coverage begins at 11:30
on ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
All them dogs are counting down, about to put the anchor down. Hotty toddy, who's it gonna be? Cowbells and Swamp, the Aggies wrong.
You know that music. It's the Paul Feinbaum Show. Follows our show every day on 94.9, 2 to 6. He joins us every Wednesday on the program. Back here on Darren, Daunic, and Chase. Hope everybody's having a good day to this point. Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe with you. We say hello.
I am doing great, guys. Good morning. How are you?
I guess we're all doing better than Ed Orgeron today, don't you think?
Well, you would never know it listening to Coach O speak. He's always happy-go-lucky. But you know what? if I knew I was going to get fired, and I also knew that they would have to pay me $17 million, I'd probably be in a good mood too, and that's exactly what's going to happen to him.
These buyouts are just unbelievable with these coaches. I think what really surprised me, and I said this on the show on Monday, just because I grew up in Lexington and I've seen a lot of Kentucky football over the years, even though I've been here almost 25 years. You know, the minute you fall in love with Kentucky football, the minute they have a big win is the minute the letdown is just around the corner. And it's not trying to be negative. I'm just saying I've seen it my whole life. And so I expected them to probably lose that game. And instead, not only did they win, Paul, I mean, they really dominated. And I think that's what was probably alarming to me is when you looked player for player, and I know LSU's got players out with injuries. One, they didn't look like an inspired football team at all. And two, I mean, Kentucky did whatever they wanted to them. I mean, they just looked flat out were the better football team.
Yeah, I was up there for the weekend, and there was always that doubt from the UK fans. But I do think LSU is now in the habit of making teams look really good. I mean, every day there's another player out. They just lost their second All-American corner this morning. They lost Boutte. They lost their starting quarterback at the beginning of the year, and quite frankly, that team knows what's going on. And you know, we always act like, well, I wonder if they know if Coach O's on the hot seat. Yeah, they know. They know he's going to get fired, and they probably just don't really care anymore. And the problem for LSU, I'll get back to Kentucky in a second, is that you know they don't have an easy game. They have Florida this weekend. They have Ole Miss. They have Alabama. They have Arkansas and A&M. As far as Kentucky, you know, they win a huge game, and now they go to Georgia. And, you know, I don't think, listen, you know, you guys can find the smartest football analyst that you know, and he cannot make a case for Kentucky beating Georgia Saturday in Athens.
How did it get to this point? I mean, they went from an undefeated, you know, dominant national championship season to last year, 500, and this year they look like they're on a collision course for 500 again, probably a 6-6 football team. How did they get to this point, Paul, in a short amount of time?
Well, let me start with the head coach. He's just an average coach who was able, you know, pick your cliche. Lightning in a bottle does seem to describe his situation. Joe Burrow, was not the only one. He had an All-American running back. He had defensive players that littered the first round of the NFL draft. He happened to catch Alabama with a banged-up quarterback and Tua, if you remember. And it just happened. Sometimes everything comes together, and that was as close to a perfect football team as I've ever seen. But here's the problem for Orgeron. Afterwards, he lost Joe Brady, the coordinator on the offensive side. He lost Dave Aranda, who was a really great defensive coordinator, and he made idiotic decisions. He hired Bo Pelini, who was really an inexcusable hire. He tried the offense, tried to recapture the offense, and it didn't work. And the Ed Orgeron we're seeing now is, by the way, the same Ed Orgeron we saw at Ole Miss, who got fired there. And he's a lovable character. We all know that. I didn't run into an LSU fan over the weekend in Lexington that doesn't like Ed Orgeron, nor have I run into an LSU fan that doesn't want him fired.
You're saying they go hand in hand?
Love him, but
6-0 seasons don't grow on trees in Lexington. The last time they were 6-0 was 1950. Some guy named Bear, nicknamed Bear, was their head coach. 10-win seasons for Kentucky football don't grow on trees. Mark Stoops got an opportunity to have his second 10-win season as the Kentucky football coach. With all that being said, Paul, if that does indeed happen again, isn't it going to be pretty hard to keep him around? Do you think the big schools, LSU or others, would come calling, or how do you think this is going to play out?
Yeah, I do think they'll come. But I mean, he is not a dynamic coach in terms of the buzz meter, but he is as solid as any coach in the country. and he's built this program. And what takes 3 years at LSU takes 8 years at Kentucky, and now he's got it going. But on the other hand, and I don't want to be misinterpreted. I mean, he can spend the rest of his life at Kentucky, but I don't think he will. I think he'll entertain offers, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes one. And part of the problem was last week. I was up there, and you know what the biggest story in town was? It wasn't the LSU game. It was the opening of Keeneland. I mean, it was. And that's why Lexington is great. I mean, you can do it. You can kill a bunch of birds with one shot. You go to Keeneland, you go to the game, and by the way, if you want to stick around Sunday, you can go by and see UK practice basketball. So I would get mad at me if you want, Bluegrass Nation, but I would leave. And ultimately, I think it will take the right offer. I know he's been coveted by Florida State for some time. I don't think they'll make a change right now. Would LSU go for him? I don't think he would be the first choice, but he would be on the list. But what happens is once you start seeing these coaching changes, there is a domino effect. So I don't know what else will open, but I think he has to seriously look at that because it's hard. It's really hard to do what he's doing in Lexington, and I know he's appreciated and I know he's paid well. But it's not like I'm going to Lexington this weekend. Excuse me, I'm going to Athens this weekend. And, I had a friend of mine ask me yesterday, on my neighborhood, well, where are you going this weekend? I said, I'm going to Kentucky, Georgia. He goes, oh, wow. Like, why would you want to go there? I mean, it's the number one game in the country, but it's not really creating a lot of buzz.
Yeah, good point. I used to valet park at Keeneland when I was in college, so I used to stall out Porsches right in front of the owner, so that was always fun. I was stepping over Saudi princes at my hotel to try to get it. Yeah, that's well said. By the way, the Paul who was the head coach at the time, he understands what you're talking about because Rupp got a Cadillac and he got a watch. So I think that's when he decided it was time to move on, being the Kentucky football coach. Not much has changed in 70 years.
No, and I'm sorry. It's a cool town, but it's mid-November, and when Kentucky loses Saturday, it's hey Cal, what how many 5 stars do we have in the starting lineup this year or on the team? Only 10 out of the 12. The first 12 are 5-star All-Americans. You had a bad recruiting year, Cal.
Paul Feinbaum is with us. So Paul, where does Alabama go from here? We asked last week. I think all of us, including you, were giving Texas A&M no chance. They pulled it off. That's why we love the games. So where does Alabama go, and can they recover and get back to where they want to be?
Well, here's their path. For Alabama to have to win out to get to the championship is not like unheard of, and it's going to come down to one game. I mean, they have. I don't think they have a challenge between now and Atlanta. Tennessee will make some noise should they beat Ole Miss this weekend. We'll get to that in a second. Auburn is Auburn. But they're going to have to beat Georgia. And right now, Georgia is winning convincingly with a backup quarterback. And I think, if and when JT Daniels gets back, I think they will be close to unbeatable. And I don't see Alabama beating them right now. Now, again, I didn't, I'll spare you the cliches, but right now, I think Alabama is going to miss the playoffs.
Ooh.
Now that would be new.
Right.
The new blood.
Right.
Our hope for new blood would come through if that's the case, of course. But okay, so let's
listen. How do you like? You could have Georgia, Iowa, Cincinnati, and Michigan in the playoffs if things. I don't think you will, but we are going to have a new group this year. There's no getting around it.
There's a lot of dreamers. That's for a lot of teams that can still dream about it. That's a good thing. So let's go to the other side. Texas A&M, the boost that this will be for them. They've been dying to have a win like that. They got it. But are they really that good? I know they already have 2 losses. So does this springboard them to a new level of confidence and better play?
No, probably not. I mean, they go to Missouri this weekend, and I don't think anybody could lose to Missouri, but I would think Jimbo Fisher is nervous about it. I know he is. I talked to him on Monday. they still are not a great team. I just think they played. This was a remember the Titans type of game. There's no explanation for it. I had a friend who he's really a football analyst type of guy, and he said he watched the game and he saw offensive linemen do things that he had never seen them do before. He saw Calzada, the quarterback, play the game of his life. Those things happen. They don't happen very often, but it helps when you're a team like Alabama with very little chemistry, a level of arrogance that you can beat anybody. You're in a stadium on a Saturday night with 105,000 people cheering, and you make mistakes. This game can be encapsulated in two consecutive plays. Alabama blocks a punt for a touchdown, and then they give it right back on a kickoff return. Alabama doesn't give up 94-yard kickoff returns. They did Saturday night.
Talking to Paul Feinbaum. He's brought to you by MTGRT.com, your live and local mortgage expert, here on Darren, Daunic, and Chase. So Tennessee hosting Ole Miss, as you mentioned, the over-under 82 going into this one right now. A lot of offense going to be on hand in Knoxville Saturday night, and Lane Kiffin's return as a head coach to Tennessee. What's kind of your just overall view of this game with where both teams are right now?
Well, you'd have to be the most negative person in the world not to like what you see at Tennessee. It has been remarkable to watch. Now, I'm not going to equivocate and say, well, they've beaten Missouri and South Carolina. It doesn't matter. Tennessee is scoring at will. They're exciting again, and I think that's going to be a unique atmosphere. I think they have a chance to win the game. The problem is Ole Miss is so explosive, and it's going to be one of these 53 to 48 games, and I think it's going to be similar to Arkansas. It will come down to a couple of plays. I know that sounds like I'm a high school coach speaking to my team at the pep rally on Friday afternoon, but it's that simple. And can Tennessee make a big stop? But it doesn't matter. I think Tennessee is going to be playing in a bowl game this year, which is just remarkable. And I know the schedule did not set up to be that difficult. It really didn't. They lost the Pittsburgh game, which I thought was essential, but they made it back. The Missouri game is going to be the difference maker. And I think Tennessee could, if they don't win this game, could go on a losing streak of 3 or 4 games. But they still have South Alabama and, should I say it softly or loudly, Vanderbilt at the end of the year. They'll win those 2 games. And this game to me is about, can you be 7-5 or do you end up 6-6?
With how Ole Miss is playing, and I give you that Alabama was a clunker. That was not what I thought it would be. I thought it would be a much closer game than it was. But if they keep playing the way that they have outside of that, does Lane Kiffin's stock continue to go up? And with some of these jobs, maybe like an LSU, I know USC's most likely off the table, a return there, but does his name get mentioned for some bigger jobs?
Yes, definitely. If he can, I think this is really a huge game for Lane as well, because it's a losable game, and that's remarkable to think about. This was a win before the season if you looked at the Tennessee roster. If Lane Kiffin can run the table and go 11-1, that's incredible. And I think he'll be in that situation at LSU and a couple of other places, and then it's a matter of what he wants to do or not. Lane Kiffin just did not take any job. He turned down Arkansas. He blew off some other less desirable places. He looked at Ole Miss and said, I can win there, and he has.
Would James Franklin be on LSU's radar, or do you think he's either going to stay at Penn State or destined for USC?
I think he is on the radar down there, but I think he's got the leverage right now. I definitely think he would be considered at LSU. I think he would choose SC over LSU. I don't think Penn State can keep him. He's not going to get many more moments like this in his career where he's probably the most desirable coach out there. And I think you guys know James. He's a smart guy. He's done really well at Penn State. But I think where he is now and where he wants to get is very difficult, especially with Ohio State around.
As we wrap this up, Paul, I'm going to go back on the Alabama thing. Is this Is there another loss in the regular season, or are you saying the losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game will put them out?
I'll have to play some chess to find a loss. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but if Tennessee beats Ole Miss, I would say their momentum coming into Tuscaloosa next week will be unbelievable. So I say this because Alabama is vulnerable. I don't think they'll lose another game. I think if you look at what they have left, Mississippi State is not a losable game, I don't think, because Alabama is coming off of a beating. But I think Tennessee could be a little nerve-wracking. I think Auburn could, but they are capable of losing. I think it's more likely they lose on the road than they lose at home, though.
Interesting. Hey, enjoy Athens. Appreciate the visit, as always, and we'll chat next week. Thanks for doing this.
A pleasure, guys. See you next week.
Paul Feinbaum, brought to you by MTGRT.com, your live and local mortgage expert.
That's interesting about what he said about Bama missing the playoff and then Tennessee if they have that kind of momentum. Going
I think
into
Lane
Tuscaloosa
would have to be number one on LSU's if there's an opening, LSU's list, don't you think? Or top three for sure, right? Who's number one?
Well, I think kind of on what he said, in their mind, Franklin could be, but how realistic is that? Yeah, I mean in their mind, like, hey, we'd love to have him, but in his mind, probably not. So yeah, I mean,
I know it's SEC and we're wrapped up in it and we're in the middle of it.
Do they go after Joe Brady?
Well, what is more? Why is LSU, other than it's the SEC? It means more, but you're in the West. I mean, is recruiting better there than? I mean, I know Texas is next door and Florida's not too far away, but I mean, I don't know if you know Ohio and Pennsylvania and Michigan, like those are all fertile grounds for recruiting as well. I mean, especially the state of Pennsylvania. I mean, what would be? Like the USC's different, right? We're leaving that one out of the equation. It's L.A., it's hobnobbing with stars. That's a different animal. But why would Baton Rouge be attractive to James Franklin over the job he's got right now? I'm just asking.
I mean, it's
other than we consider and go, it just means more.
I mean, it's sold out, and it's
well,
if he
so
just has any.
So is Penn State.
I know.
I think that's more lateral.
Yeah,
in my mind.
I think it's just if he has a desire to come back to
do
the
something
SEC.
new or do something new.
Yeah.
If to me, he's a better fit for USC than LSU because I'm with you, Darren. It's a little bit of a more of the same.
Well, it's easier to win in the Big Ten than it is in the SEC West.
I think that might be the tiebreaker for me. It's the trade-off. Do you want to be in the SEC or do you want to be in still a power conference that it might be a little easier to get to the playoffs?
Well, and what's more, do you think he could come in to LSU and go toe-to-toe with Saban every year?
See, that's he's got an amazing ability to recruit. I think we would admit.
No doubt.
James Franklin. He's got a thing.
So
but is it a match at Baton Rouge? It's a special thing. As Paul Feinbaum has said, I'm trying to think. We've had some other perspectives on it. It's a unique formula down there that you have to know down in the bayou there, and I'm not sure that's James Franklin's sweet spot. Could he make it work? Yeah, but I think it's a better fit in L.A.
Agreed. I think if you're looking for the chess game, the perfect matches, I think Lane plays extremely well in Baton Rouge and LSU. If Florida State were to move on from Norvell, which Florida State, it's like it doesn't look that good. It doesn't look like Florida State's returning to power anytime soon. Tell you what, Mark Stoops would make a. It was interesting when he brought up Stoops for Florida State. That makes a lot of sense. I think the thing that has really jumped out, because Mark Stoops is not dynamic. If you listen to his interviews, he's actually kind of boring. He doesn't really say much. But whatever he's doing, the formula it's working, and especially on the recruiting trail. He is a recruiting machine, and his staff. They have done about as good of a job as you can do at Kentucky. And how Coach There's a lot of really, really good football players in the state of Ohio, and they've gone up there and they've plucked a lot of really good ones out of the state of Ohio. Obviously, he's plucked some out of this state, and they've gone all over the place. Stoops can recruit. Is there a better state in the country to recruit than the state of Florida? That would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, it totally would. Now, the question is going to be, as we, start to put all these pieces together, is there another, one or two more big jobs that are going to come open? Does Lincoln Riley finally make the jump and go, now that things, even though I understand they're undefeated, but I wouldn't say everything's
not
great in Oklahoma.
No. I mean, they are undefeated, but it's not pretty.
Yeah, so does he make the jump to the NFL finally? I'd say that's less than 20% right now. But
you think?
Yeah. Because the job that would make the most sense, I don't think is going to be open because they're one of the best teams in the league right now, and that's Dallas. Now, that could all change. It's only 5 games in, but I've always kind of felt that's where he would be destined to go. So I don't know. I don't know on that. But are there other jobs that are going to come open that maybe right now we're thinking they won't, but they could?
Jacksonville.
Yeah. Jacksonville could.
Get Trevor Lawrence. Get the franchise quarterback.
Could. I think in Lincoln's offense, ooh.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That would be interesting. Because I don't know. I still feel like that Urban's going to be one and done.
You get a less sleazier coach.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the mindset with getting Herb, but he comes with a lot of Samsonite,
No doubt. No doubt about that.
He is not just carry on only.
And keep this in mind, too, with the trickle-down effect. Like, if Franklin does leave and go to USC, then a really good job in the Big Ten is now open in Penn State. So what does that do? Is Stoops a fit there? Or is he more of a, SEC, ACC kind of coach?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know where Penn State would turn if Franklin left.
I think it's it's something to definitely think about because that's a good job.
Do they bring back your buddy Bill O'Brien when he gets fired as the OC in Tuscaloosa?
I mean, he did a good job there. He brought them out of a very, very bad situation.
Yeah.
Before going to Houston.
That's a little bit sarcastic.
I know.
I don't think they really go that direction. I don't think.
Call Munchak.
It's not bad. All right, we'll come back. More on the other side. We'll come back, close out the first hour of Darren, Daunic, and Chase next.
Yossi from the circle. He scores! Roman Yossi scores in overtime.
Thursday night, Roman Yossi and the Predators begin their season on home ice against the Seattle Kraken. Pre-game at 6, face-off at 7 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Can you believe it, folks? Week 6 is here in the NFL. Big Thursday night matchup, Bucs-Eagles, and FanDuel Sportsbook's about to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. This means you can end the NFL week right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. Personally, I'm big on the Bucs in just about every game, certainly this game. I think we could be looking at a high-scoring game, too. Do whatever you want with this. You can, of course, do a same-game parlay. A lot of options on the #1 rated sportsbook app in America, which is easy to use, safe and secure, with fast payouts. It's sports betting made simple on FanDuel. See for yourself. Sign up with promo code Joe102 this week before Tampa Bay takes on Philadelphia. You can win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember, promo code Joe102 so they know I sent you exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Partly cloudy skies today with a few passing showers possible. Most locations will be looking at a completely dry day from start to finish. Afternoon high 83.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Mortgage rates are on the move. Don't miss the chance to lock in the best rate of your lifetime with my friends at Loan Pronto. Hey, Willie Daunic here. Call Loan Pronto today and take advantage of their super popular zero-cost refi program. So many people are doing this. You can get a rate with an APR in the low 2s with no junk fees, no closing costs. Yes, they pay your closing costs, even if you refinanced 6 months ago. Loan Pronto's all-digital process is fast and easy. Virtually no paperwork required. And most loans get closed in 14 days. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call Loan Pronto now and start the process. Don't wait on rates to spike again. If your current APR is over 2.75, call now for a free 30-second quote. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans eligible for zero-cost option.
The 2021 Major League Soccer season isn't over yet, Nashville. Are you in? There are just 2 regular season home matches remaining as we make our final push for a playoff spot. Don't miss the action on Wednesday, October 20th at 7:30 p.m. against the Columbus Crew. Or catch the last regular season match of the season on Sunday, November 7th at 2:30 p.m. against New York Red Bulls at Nissan Stadium. Come be a part of the most unique sports experience in Nashville. Tickets are on sale now from just $22 at NashvilleSC.com. Everyone in.
Robbie Stanley.
That size and that speed just doesn't grow on trees. That could be something that you could really turn into.
Joe Rexrode.
Just hold out and somebody will call in the bad signal.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Interact with Darren, Daunic, and Chase. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Well, here's their path. For Alabama to have to win out to get to the championship is not like unheard of, and it's going to come down to one game. I mean, they have, I don't think they have a challenge between now and Atlanta. Tennessee will make some noise should they beat Ole Miss this weekend. I know we'll get to that in a second. Auburn is Auburn. But they're going to have to beat Georgia. And right now, Georgia is winning convincingly with a backup quarterback. And I think, if and when JT Daniels gets back, I think they will be close to unbeatable. And I don't see Alabama beating them right now. Now, again, I didn't, I'll spare you the cliches. But right now, I think Alabama is going to miss the playoffs.
Dun-dun. Alabama not in the playoffs? Playoffs? Alabama not in the playoffs?
Unreal.
Sky is falling. The world is ending. I have relatives I probably will never hear from again. They'll just disappear. Just go away. That was, by the way, Paul Feinbaum, who joined us earlier in the show. Every week he's brought to you by mtgrt.com, your live and local mortgage expert. It pays to listen to the show. It pays to listen when you're not prompted. Now, in the noon hour, we are prompting you to be listening in the third hour because you will get you'll get a cue to call, and that'll make you qualified to be at Nissan Stadium Monday night when the Titans host the Bills. So we are telling you, we're prompting you. Be listening in the third hour. You should listen at all times, like right now, because if you're listening right now, you've got a chance to go see Red Hot Chili Peppers at Nissan Stadium. You can't even buy those tickets. You can't buy them right now. They're not even on sale. They go on sale Friday morning at 10 o'clock. But right now, if you can call in and tell Elijah on this day what happened in Predators franchise history, what is significant about October 13th in Predators franchise history, if you can tell Elijah what is significant about today's date, you'll go to Red Hot Chili Peppers next August at Nissan Stadium. Like I said, those tickets aren't even on sale. It's going to be a Friday night, August 12th. So tell Elijah what is the significance of October 13th, today's date in Predators franchise history. Do that, and you are a winner. See? See why it pays to listen at all times? You just never know. You never know. Matthias Ekholm, we kind of ran out of time. Congratulations to him. 4 years, 6.25, so 4-year, $25 million deal that will kick in after this season for defenseman Matthias Ekholm. A lot of people, or not a lot of people, there's already been an article written, will this contract age? Well, that's pretty natural, right, especially at his age. I've been saying for a good while that the Predators need to get out of the business of long-term contracts, need to go on and put that in a closet and lock it up for a while, and they've done that. They haven't been giving out 7- and 8-year deals. It's time to move on from that for a while. Give it a rest. Give it a break, and they've done that. Granlund was a 4-year deal. Now you're talking about Ekholm, a 4-year deal.
Saros, 4-year deal.
Saros, 4-year deal. Thank you. I knew I was leaving one out. So they're now more in the 4-year deal business, guaranteed. And I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Past that, not okay. Put it in the closet, lock the door, give it a rest for a while. Need to get out of that business for a while, and they've done that. So I say good job by David Poile and the Predators. But 4 years for a guy who's 31, it'll kick in when he's 32. It'll wrap up when he's, 36?
35,
37?
I think.
No, that's not right, is
well,
it?
It kicks in next year.
It kicks in next year.
But he's 32 next year. He's 31 right now.
Okay. Yeah.
So then he'll be 36.
It's through his 35 age year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's right. Because he'll be 32,
because he's
33,
at the end
34,
of
35.
right. It's after the season.
Yeah.
So he plays this year at the end of his contract, his current contract at 31.
And then he'll kick in.
Next
he'll
year,
just turn 32.
Yeah. So you have a 4-year extension: 32, 33, 34,
35.
35.
Well done, Willie. Gosh, you should have gone to Vanderbilt. Oh, wait a minute, you did.
Now I don't know when his birthday is. He may turn.
No, you're right.
32.
It's May. It's right. End of May. So you're right.
Okay.
Give
So
him
he'll turn
props,
36 during the playoffs of his last year of the contract.
I see what you did there. I see
Okay.
what you did there. Well done. You're on a roll. I'm just going to turn things over to you.
Okay.
I see what you did there.
Well, I'd love to go a little further with this later in the show. Well, we don't have enough time to really get into what I think is interesting is, remember a few years ago we had the discussion of when they had Ellis, Ekholm, Yossi, and Subban, and people were like, you can't keep all these guys. There's no way you can keep all these guys. So here we are, 3 or 4 years later, they've got 2 of the 4 left. But I think I'll give you the short version of this, and then maybe later in the show we'll come back to maybe some of the other moves that they've made. But Dom Lucian is I think he's really, really good at what he does. I read his stuff all the time. He is strict analytics, and everything's in a vacuum in the numbers world, and that is great. There is a lot of value to that. He immediately says this contract's not going to age well, and he's probably right to some degree. But that is really true of any contract that extends a player into his mid-30s. And there's so many versions of it. I used Mika Zibanejad earlier in the show. Also, if you take a look at what defensemen are getting these days, look at the contract that Seth Jones signed. Look at the contract that Darnell Nurse signed. Now, you tell me how many of our listeners really know a whole lot about Darnell Nurse. He got a huge contract, way more. Now, he's a little younger. It's a little bit of a leap of faith for them, but the market for defensemen went way up because of Seth Jones, because of Darnell Nurse. And we still haven't gotten Cale Makar, right? Or did Cale Makar sign his yet? I forget. I mean, there's some other massive contracts going out to defensemen here.
I thought he did.
You know what I love about this contract? You know what Ekholm is that Arvidsson wasn't when he signed the big deal?
Durable.
What Ryan Ellis wasn't, who they traded away to Philadelphia. He is freaking durable.
Yes.
You know what he does every year? He plays every game. And quite honestly, it's going to be the big sticking point with Forsberg. There's no doubt about it because he misses time every year.
Okay.
And you know who doesn't miss time? Matthias Ekholm.
Knock on wood, he's been very durable, no question. So let me pose it this way to you. We knew that they had to get younger, right? The word transition was thrown out by David Poile yesterday. This is, to me, part of the transition. They had to make tough choices.
Let me throw this to people who didn't hear it. David Poyle said to us, he admitted that he would like to have a do-over, a mulligan, right, on competitive rebuild. He likes it. He would like for it to be called a competitive transition.
Right, and I think I would define either one as you're trying to still shoot to make the playoffs, but at the same time retool your roster, get younger, and hopefully build back up to where they were a few years ago, where you felt like you really have your ducks in a row and can contend. They just couldn't keep the same.
Rebuild is just optics. It scares people. And that's
rebuild. There's a bad connotation to rebuild, and he realizes that. I think he realized it the day after he said it, but there's nothing he can do. He said it. But who? And Darren, I think you already let the cat out of the bag because I agree with you. What contract was going to age worse, Ellis or this one they just signed to Ekholm?
There's not a doubt in my mind.
Okay,
not
so
a
now
doubt in my mind.
Now consider. Okay, so they've traded Ellis, which I know it stung, right? We all love Ryan Ellis, but this is part of the idea of you've got to get younger.
Sure.
So it remains to be seen, did they get really good value for Ellis with Myers and Glass? That's what we're going to find out coming up. That aside, they took the money that they saved from trading Ryan Ellis, and what they do with it? They directly gave it to Ekholm.
Ekholm, yep.
But here's another thing. Ellis's contract ran an extra year past what they just signed Ekholm for. So we agree that Ekholm is likely, with his size and his track record of durability, is probably going to age better than Ryan Ellis. They also would have had Ellis on the books for another year. Ekholm is signed through 25-26. Ellis, his current deal, which the Flyers have to deal with now, is going to go through 26-27. So they basically saved $6.25 million. And they've just turned Ellis and Ekholm into Ekholm, Myers, and Glass, basically.
Right.
So we'll see what they come out with that. Only time is going to tell whether that works out the way they want it to, but that's the idea of competitive transition.
Right. And
there's more examples. I have more examples, but we don't have time to get into that right now.
But I think what you brought up about the durability is going to be huge because, looking at last year, played 48 games in the shortened season, 68 the year before in a shortened season, and then he's missed like one or two. And I feel like when he misses one or two, it's because he's got like an illness or something. That seems like what it is. I mean, he's just rarely out, and that's what you need.
Unless he hits a wall and just like all of a sudden,
and that could happen. That happens to a lot of guys in their mid-30s.
He's just really big and slow. Unless that happens to me, I have no issues with this at all. And two, he deserves it. Look, I know you're not supposed to reward, but he was on a team-friendly deal, and he's been underpaid. And look, that's the deal he signed, and that's part of it. That's the gamble that the GM takes. When you lock them up at an early age, you roll the dice and say, we believe they're going to morph into what they do, and Ekholm did. And so it paid off for the Predators. He also, he's been durable. He's been reliable. He's been a top defenseman, not only on the Predators, but in the league, and at times underrated. And I do think that it's okay to reward a little bit. If you gave him a little bit more than whatever the numbers say, let's say the numbers were 5.75 and you gave him 6.25, I'm okay with that. Because you know what? He's been on a team-friendly deal for a long time, making money that he could, this is what he should have been making, right? Instead,
Probably
he's been making, half of that. And that's okay. Like I said, that's part of it. It's a gamble, and the player gets more money early on in their career, and the team hopes that they morph or turn into the player that they're investing in long-term at an early age when it's not showing there right at the time they signed the deal. This case, it did. So I'm okay with it all around. And two, like I said, he's durable, man. That to me, there's value in durability. So it's got less risk and less, like I said, in 2 years – he just hit 3 years. He hits a wall, and he's big and slow, and everybody's just skating in circles around him. That's the only way, to me, it's a bad deal. There's no way to know that.
I think you're dead on right, and the only thing I would add is what I said before is the market for defensemen changed a lot with Makar and all these super Heiskanen. I was him. the kid from Ottawa that signed a huge one. I mean, some of these guys are signing gigantic deals, and it's changed the market. So Matthias Ekholm benefits from that. Absolutely deserved for what he's got. And so for those that would say, well, why don't they just go ahead and trade him? They need to go the next step. That is an option, right? They could have traded Ekholm. They could go ahead and trade Forsberg and just say, we are rebuilding. I would caution you, though, before you write off this competitive transition, competitive rebuild philosophy, it is not always easy to get back, okay? I'm going to use the example of the Ducks. The Ducks went that way. The Ducks and the Predators were really good for a long time alongside of each other, right? The Ducks have gone full rebuild. They got some young pieces that are good. It's taken a while, right? They were bad the last couple years. How long is it going to be before they're good again? I don't know. Is it this year? Most people don't think so.
Congratulations, Joey Keane. Joey called in and told Elijah the significance of today's date. It was the first victory in franchise history for the Predators. So October 13th, 1998 versus Carolina. Congratulations, Joey. It pays to listen. Thanks for listening. Enjoy Red Hot Chili Peppers at Nissan Stadium next August. We'll come back. We'll head to Buffalo next.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Did you see the Tennessee Titans? He has all the weapons to make it happen.
There's so much to pay attention to. Greeny from 9 to 11.
Ryan Tannehill is the most disrespected player.
Art and Han from 11 to 2.
You never stop punching. They've got to learn how to close the deal.
And the Paul Feinbaum Show afternoons from 2 to 6.
Are these legitimate contenders to the party?
Your exclusive home for ESPN Radio in the Music City.
ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Announcing a rare opportunity for huge savings. If you're in the market for replacement windows or doors, Saturday, October 23rd, Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is having an open house, offering 10% off all merchandise. That even includes 10% off their current special offers. Mark your calendar and stop by the Pella Windows and Doors in Cool Springs, October 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for these great deals. Bring your measurements or snap a picture of your replacement needs and come to Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment made between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use only. Down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Rock Bottom Nashville is Broadway's original brewery, where all brews are brewed on site. Josh Rappaport is Rock Bottom's brewmaster, creating fresh craft beers where peak flavors are always the rule. Grab one of their blockbuster beers to pair with their nachos, pretzel bites, and delicious flatbreads. They even have group catering. They boast one of the best views of downtown Nashville and is a short walk to Titan Stadium. And enjoy happy hour Monday through Friday afternoons from 2 until 6. Rock Bottom Nashville, 111 Broadway.
We've all had that dream. Tie game, bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. Well, on FanDuel Sportsbook, you get more than one shot to swing for the fences because FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free. That's right. New users get up to $1,000 back in site credit if your first bet doesn't win. There's a reason FanDuel Sportsbook is the top-ranked sportsbook app on Apple and Google Play. The app is simple to use. They've got great offers on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlay, and always-on promotions to let you get more action out of every game day. And when you win, FanDuel will pay your winnings in as little as 24 hours. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code PLAY to get in on the action. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code PLAY. 21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only for risk-free bet. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Restrictions apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's time for Darren, Daunic, and Chase. With hosts Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe. On on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Second hour here on this Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a good day to this point. Beautiful day here in Nashville. Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, Chase McCabe with you. 3 more hours to go. Let's head up to Buffalo. It's the next opponent for the Titans. Monday Night Football at Nissan Stadium. It is going to be a good one. Hopefully, Titans and Bills. Sal Capaccio is on the line with us. Sal, I know you do the sidelines for the Bills, also a part of WGR 550's coverage of Buffalo as well. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, they look like juggernauts. There's no doubt about it. This is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. We all knew Buffalo was going to be good, but, man, through 5 weeks of the season, is this even better than what you thought the Bills would be going into the season to this point?
I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, I think here in Buffalo, we expected a team that would contend for the AFC Championship again, right? I mean, they got to the AFC Championship game last year. They have everybody back. I mean, when have you ever seen a coaching staff where every single coach on staff is exact same from last year? They did not have any coaches come in from another organization. That continuity has been incredible. Pretty much everybody on offense, everybody on defense. It's been very few parts changed. And I think that, with Josh Allen taking that step he did last year, and the runner-up to league MVP, I think they're kind of right where people really believe they would be at this point. I don't know if people believe they'd beat Kansas City the way they did, but I think 4-1 right now is right around the record people thought they'd have.
Yeah, boy, I think they'd probably like to have that Pittsburgh game back, but crazy things usually happen in week 1. I am kicking myself as someone who plays fantasy football. We all do on this show. That I identified Dawson Knox. I know all about Dawson Knox. I should have picked him up when I did. And I was like, let me wait another week. I'm not desperate for that position. And boy, am I kicking myself because I should have picked up Dawson Knox. And it's way too late now. He's long gone in our league. Is this what Dawson Knox is going to be the rest of the season? He has had quite the start to the year.
I don't know if by the way, he's a local guy, right? Nashville.
Yes, he is. I know. Like I said, I've got no one to blame but me. No one to blame but me.
He is the poster child for what's been going on in this organization for really since 2017 when Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane took over. And that is, guys, I've been following this team since the Super Bowl years back in the 90s. And I will tell you right now, the player development in this organization is as good as it's ever been. I mean, they take guys and they really truly develop and become, as Sean McDermott would say, the best versions of themselves over 2, 3, 4 years. And that's where Dawson Knox is in his 3rd year. And I think what's happened here is, though, last year, 127 targets, I think it was, for Stephon Diggs. He was, or maybe that's his catches. I mean, his targets were incredible. But every game, he was the guy. And the Bills obviously have Cole Beasley, and they spread the ball around. And what teams have done is they've kind of concentrated a little bit on Diggs, a little bit on Beasley, and that's opened up other guys being able to emerge. And the Bills, what they've basically, the response to the way teams have played them is saying, okay, we're going to put a tight end in the field more, and now we're going to have an extra threat and an extra weapon for Josh Allen to throw the ball to. And I think they've always planned on that for Dawson Knox. It just never really came about because he's had a lot of consistency issues dropping the football and catching the football. But look, he's a converted quarterback from college. He didn't start playing tight end until his sophomore, I think it was, year in college, and then they had DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown and all those guys at Ole Miss, so he didn't really have a lot of reps, and now I think you're seeing the fruits of that development and all of those reps coming into play.
I've said for years, Sal, that Sean McDermott is maybe the most underrated coach in the league, and if I'm saying that in Nashville, have you guys felt that way in your market, or do you feel like he does get the credit that he deserves?
I think he's still underappreciated here by too many Bills fans. I mean, the majority of people really know what they have here. Look, I would say Brandon Beane is very, very appreciated, like for his front office staff and contractually. One thing, and I'll get to Sean in a second, but I'll tell you, you look around this roster, it's not going to end anytime soon for this Bills team. Everybody that you see that's contributing, they're all young and they're all locked up. I mean, they just signed Taron Johnson to an extension. There's very few guys who are going to be unrestricted free agents at the end of this year. Like, this is a team that's so well put together, and now they're all under contract as well. So you're going to see that. And I think Brandon Beane gets a lot of credit for that. When it comes to Sean, yes, he absolutely gets a lot of credit. I would say for evolving, especially the way he's kind of evolved as a game manager, the way he's evolved in attacking teams and being able to and being willing to be in the new age NFL and throwing the ball all over the field. But I think where he's underappreciated is too many fans, I think, give more credit to Brian Daboll than they do Sean McDermott in that regard. More credit to, Josh Allen than they do to Sean McDermott. But look, it's all under the watchful eye and the direction of Sean McDermott. He runs this organization. He is a great leader. And I've said the biggest thing that's impressed me, and I've covered this team professionally as my fourth coaching staff I've been through. Look, the consistency he has on a week-to-week basis, whether this team wins or loses or who's injured, who's not, they never get too high, they never get too low. They're always super prepared, and they're always going to give you the same game.
I don't know. I know Josh Allen is mobile, and he can run, and he uses his legs, and he's very effective. I guess what I'm a little bit surprised, and probably because we're spoiled, and we've been covering this team since they've been in Nashville too, and we've seen a lot of good running teams for the Titans. They have been a more run-first team since they've been in this market, and they've got the best running back in the league right now. But I don't particularly think Buffalo has ran the football. I mean, Devin Singletary's okay. Zach Moss is okay. I mean, Zach Moss can get in the end zone. But overall, they're not one of the top running teams in the league. How have they been able to get away with that, in your opinion? Because everybody knows that they're thinking pass, but obviously nobody can slow down this offense.
Well, I think the way they get away with it, as you say, is the fact that that's not how you win in the NFL these days. You win with throwing the football around. Look at the teams that win the Super Bowls, that go to the Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes, their teams running the ball aren't that great. It's Patrick Mahomes. Tom Brady last year, yeah, they ran the ball okay, but they have Tom Brady. This is what it takes to win in the NFL. I think the Bills, their philosophy is we have Josh Allen, and he's great at throwing the football. Sure, we need to be effective running the ball. We don't have to be great at it, but we have to be effective at it. Brandon Beane's philosophy, and going back to him, is look at their roster and how it's structured. The Bills absolutely refuse to pay big money for a running back. They refuse to put a premium on draft picks on running backs because it's a waste. You look around the league, and no disrespect to Tennessee. I think Derrick Henry's an amazing, and he's going to break and he's going to shatter NFL records. But I think you want to run the football in the NFL, and that's how you want to win. There's a ceiling on that. I think that's been proven with Tennessee. It's been proven with Baltimore. It's been proven with Cleveland. The teams that are winning football games and playing 21st century football in 2021, I should say, are the teams that are saying we're going to throw the ball and put the ball in the hands of our quarterback and let him do what he needs to do. And, again, financially, I think you have to be careful of if you get beholden to these running backs and you have to pay them big money, then you're really sacrificing around the roster. The Bills refuse to do that. They pay Josh Allen, they pay their receivers, they pay their defense, and they say, we'll have good running backs. They don't have to be great, and we're going to get by.
We're talking to Sal Capaccio, the Bills beat writer and sideline reporter for them. And, just on Josh Allen real quick, I mean, we've seen what he's done over the course of the past 2 years. I know for me, that was one of those, this is kind of a surprise. I didn't think he, would turn into what he has turned into. But you've seen him. When you first saw him in his rookie year and saw some things at practice and all of that, was it not necessarily in your mind that he'd become an MVP-type contender, but is this not that much of a surprise to you?
I always felt that he had the ability to make certain plays that other quarterbacks simply can't make, and you always see that. It was the consistency and the play-to-play, down-to-down, decision-making, not trying to do too much type of stuff that you had to shake out of him. Now, look, I do think that you still have to have some of that at Josh Allen. That's why you drafted him. The Bills knew perfectly well they weren't drafting Alex Smith, and he's going to just be a game manager and check it down, right? They were moving on from Tyrod Taylor, who was kind of similar like that. They took a big swing, and they said, basically what they wanted was who he is, which is Brett Favre. Hey, he's going to make some incredible plays. There's also going to be times where you say, oh, my God, Josh, I can't believe you did that, in a negative way. But you can't take that away from Josh Allen, because if you do, you're kind of neutering him, right? I mean, you're kind of making him a quarterback you don't want him to be because you need to have those wow plays that are incredible. And what's really happened here with Josh Allen is his decision-making has improved so much that now you have so many more few of those other negative, what are you doing, Josh plays, and still so many of the, oh, my God, I can't believe you did that, Josh plays. So very polarizing quarterback when he came out of college. There's no doubt about it. People either really loved him or really hated him. Most people really hated him, and they still refused to believe he was good when he was good. But now you're seeing the more consistent day-to-day, week-to-week operation of a quarterback that's really worked his tail off to get there. But an organization, too, and go back to player development, I mean, Josh Allen, he has been really kind of the guy that when you say, how do you develop a quarterback in 2021, and this is what the Bills have done, and they've surrounded him exactly in the right spot with the right people.
going into the draft, as people were making their predictions, especially early on, Greg Rousseau was linked to the Titans. The Bills end up with him, and he's had a pretty good start to his rookie year, just named Defensive Player of the Week, has 3 sacks on the season. Clearly it's worked out in that defense with him, but have you been surprised that it's worked out as quickly as it has?
Absolutely. I'll count myself among the people who said, many of us said, you know what, looks like he has some good traits, could be a good player in this league, probably going to take a couple of years, especially you think he's getting inserted into a championship caliber roster, right? A Bills team that they were in the Final Four last year. Like how many snaps are you going to get for a guy like this? You're going to have to develop him. You have Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison. They had A.J. Epinesa, who had a lost rookie year. He's come back in his second year. Oh, my gosh. The first time I'll tell you guys, the first time I saw him on a field was during OTAs and minicamp, and it looked like, when you're like watching kids in 7th and 8th grade, but there's one kid you're like, there's no way. Check that kid's birth certificate, right?
Oh, yes.
I mean, yeah, that's what he looked like. He was just towering over people in his length, and he had these traits that were just, the measurements and things like that. You just can't coach, obviously. And then once the pads came on, it translated. And I'm just as surprised as anybody that he's already making the kind of impact that he's making. And then they add in Boogie Basham, their second-round pick, and A.J. Epinesa has really taken a step from that year last year where, because of COVID and didn't have all the OTAs and the mini camps, kind of had like a redshirt year. He played a little bit, but he's really stepped up, and it's really been the difference in this team is their defensive line play, and it all starts, I think, with the addition of Greg Rousseau and how well he's playing.
Why do you think it's worked so well with Leslie Frazier as the defensive coordinator? I mean, he's been around the game for a long time, obviously a former head coach, but this seems to really have worked with this defense and working with Sean McDermott.
Yeah, there's a few of us here in the media who we have such a reverence for Leslie Frazier. I had a friend of mine in the media here, Matt Perino, who writes for Syracuse.com and covers the team, who said, because I want to give him credit, not me, he said, Sal, I'm going to make a sign that says hire Leslie Frazier and give it to opposing coaches because that's how good he is and how much he deserves another shot. Look, I think the answer, though, to your question is he's just such a great teacher. He's such a great communicator. Leslie Frazier, people might not be old enough to remember who are listening, he was part of the 85 Bears defense. He was part of that group in the 80s in the Bears. He led the Bears in interceptions that year, I believe, that incredible team they had. He knows football. He was a talented football player. But more than anything, he's a student of the game. He studies, and he communicates super well with all of his players. He has such respect from all his players. There's a few ways to go about coaching, right? You can yell and you can scream and do all that kind of stuff. That's not the Bills' way. That's not Sean McDermott's way. He hires teachers. He hires good communicators, and Leslie Frazier has been with him from the beginning, and they're as a group. And let's remember, Sean's a defensive guy, right? You put those two heads together, and that's why I think it works so well.
Sal Capaccio is with us, Bills beat writer, radio sideline man, and he'll be coming to town as Bills take on the Titans on Monday night. All right, so Sal, you got me going a little bit with the throwback of Leslie Frazier with the Great Bears team. So let's make the comparison. I know this Bills team, they've been so dominant the last 4 weeks. What is it time to start comparing them? This has got to be the best Bills team since the great years of the 4 straight AFC title games. True?
It's the best roster since then. They were good in, I don't want to say it in Nashville. They were good in '99 on home run throwback, right? I mean,
they were. I think everybody knew. I can remember vividly Steve Tasker.
Yep.
The last weekend of the regular season, the Titans were resting some guys, and they just annihilated Pittsburgh. But they had the bracket, and Steve Tasker circled the bracket, Bills versus Titans. He goes, you know what? The winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl. He called it before it happened, and we all know, what history happened, the home run throwback and all that stuff. But those were 2 really good teams.
That's right. And I would say that that's the best roster they'd had since the Super Bowl years until now. This one is probably better than that, and it is the best roster since the Super Bowl years. And look, those Super Bowl teams had Hall of Famers. Maybe someday these guys, who knows if Josh Allen, where his career takes him and things, but it certainly is. Now, I think that we need to stop short of comparing them to the greatest of all time type of teams and defenses and things like that. There is no Bruce Smith on this team right now, right? Bruce Smith is the greatest defensive end, arguably in history, maybe Reggie White, whatever, but he has the most sacks in NFL history. There's not that guy. Matt Milano has been playing out of his mind. He's hurt. We don't know if he's going to play this week. He missed last week against the Chiefs. They still won. But, the linebackers together with him and Tremaine Edmonds are great. But, do you see a Cornelius Bennett? I'm not sure. I think that's the difference, though, between this team. The difference is, and let's get back to Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott. This is truly a team defense. The Bills in the 90s were loaded with Hall of Fame talent around. This team doesn't necessarily have that. I would tell you that Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, you're probably not putting either in the top 5 safeties in the league individually. Together, they might be the best tandem of safeties in the league, though. It really is a team defense and how they operate all together at once. I mean, not one defensive lineman on this team has played more than 55% of the snaps. Yet look at what the defensive line is doing. Because that's right, because they rotate everybody in, even including Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver, Gary Hughes. Everyone's between 35 and 55%, which is incredible. And that's the difference. So I would stop short of putting them amongst those teams because they don't have that necessarily individual talent. Tre'Davious White is an all-pro, we know that. But they do have such a great team together, and they've been together for a while, by the way, under Sean, under Leslie. They work so well together. And I will say, though, in today's NFL, to be allowing 12 points a game through 5 weeks the way scoring is in the NFL is truly remarkable. I mean, because this isn't 1985 anymore, right, where it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust still, basically. I mean, they're holding teams, and they're holding teams. I don't care if it's Houston, Washington, Miami, or Kansas City now, as we see. You know, what they're doing on defense against these types of offenses is truly remarkable at this point.
It'll be interesting to see if the Titans can run against these guys and do their thing with Derrick Henry. So, Sal, one more. You got me thinking about the wild card game. Should the Bills have started Doug Flutie? What would have happened if they had done that?
You know, over the years, I always said no, and I think that if I look back now, I say probably should have. I mean, Doug earned it, right? Doug earned it. That call basically came from up top. There's a lot of people who believe, and I don't have this confirmed, but who've said that Ralph Wilson, the owner at the time, was the one who said he wasn't a big fan of Flutie for whatever reason, wanted Rob Johnson to start. I think, and I always say, but Rob Johnson walked off the field with the lead. He walked off the field with the lead, right? And then they had the kickoff.
Yeah.
And my biggest issue, and I coached high school football in Florida for a decade. I was at the time coaching down there when this was all going on. And my biggest issue after what happened was just stay in your damn lanes, guys. Right? I mean, that's what it was. It wasn't quarterback. It wasn't anything else. It was stay in your lanes on special teams. But that was truly a watershed moment in this organization, not in a good way. Just like with the same franchise, I know, not in Nashville. The comeback, the greatest comeback in NFL history.
Oh, yeah.
Same two teams, same two franchises, right? I mean, those are the kinds of things. These two teams are tied together in so many ways because of all of those things that have happened between them. And, of course, they go back to the AFL years as well.
What do you think, if anything, this is all just more for us, the fun storylines, but last year, the craziness of the outbreak that the Titans had, the shuffle of the schedule, they hadn't practiced at all. I think everybody thought they'd get thumped by the Bills, and it was anything but. It was the opposite. And I know the Bills, there was I think some blowback from the league. Hey, we got to switch our schedule around. This is, at the time it was kind of a new thing. It happened to some other teams afterwards, but any fallout from that game? What's your recollection of that game? Because that was kind of a sore spot for the Bills there.
Yeah, I actually just did a little bit of work on this morning looking back. I don't know if you know, but the game was actually 1 year ago today. They played exactly 1 year ago today.
Wow. Oh, wow. I would not have guessed that.
And I went back and looked. The Bills were actually missing 6 starters on defense as well because they had COVID and they had injuries. Cam Lewis started instead of Taron Johnson. Dean Marlowe started at safety. Matt Milano was out. But they had their own situation. Now, look, they got their butts handed to them. I mean, Tennessee played great that night, and I think Tennessee was mad. I think that they came in with a point to prove, and I think they did prove that you don't have to have practice on the field all the time to make it work, right? I give the Titans a lot of credit for how they played in that football game, but I'll also tell you the Bills were completely undermanned in that game, and the Bills, the way it worked for them that week was, and the Titans had their own deal, of course, and they were in flux with the situation. The way it worked for the Bills was they were supposed to play the Titans at a 1 o'clock on Sunday and then turn around and play Kansas City on a Thursday night. Well, that couldn't happen. They had to switch it up because of the COVID outbreak, because of Tennessee and everything. So they moved the game to Tuesday night, and they moved the following game against the Chiefs to a Monday evening. And I really believe Bills players were kind of not dialed in. They were mad. They were upset, and I think they were focusing more on how this schedule and being able to play the Chiefs at home on a Thursday night didn't work out, and the fans and all of that. So I think I look back at that game and say, boy, both teams had a lot going on mentally and even physically on the field, obviously.
All right, finish with this. Of course, they couldn't have fans last year, and, of course, all the other thing would have kept any fans from trying to come down anyway. But we know how great the Bills fans are. We want to be prepared here in Nashville. How much of an invasion is there going to be here?
And where can I find a table?
Well, two years ago, I actually looked this up. 2 years ago, I remember writing, it's on my Twitter feed from 2 years ago, I wrote that in my 6 years at the time of being the sideline reporter and going to every game, I'd never, ever, ever seen that many Bills fans in one away city. It was truly incredible. I mean, all of Broadway was red, white, and blue, mostly Josh Allen jerseys. There's another little district, I forget, you guys will tell me, down where there's a 3-story bar that was wrapped around. I mean, I have never, ever seen that many people at a game. And it's going to happen again because the Bills don't have a really great away schedule. They do go to Tampa and New Orleans, but New Orleans on Thanksgiving. A lot of people can't do that this year. So I think Tennessee is, and Nashville's a great city, right? People love going there. It's a destination city. My co-host, I just got off the air here. My co-host on the normal 10 to 12 show here in Buffalo, he's in Nashville already because he's never been there and he wanted to go. He's down there with his buddies. Like, he's on vacation. Right? I mean, so, Joe, if you're listening, man, shout out. I hope you're having fun over here. All right? But I'm telling you guys, it's going to be an invasion. Now, I do know it's a Monday night. People have to take off Monday. They have to take off Tuesday. Maybe that pulls back the luster a little bit. But it's going to be crazy. And, yeah, please watch out for flying tables, flying debris, and people all over the place.
Sal, if he left this early, there's no way he's listening to the show. He's having a good old time.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you. And I know I went down to one of the bars downtown. There was a Buffalo band that was playing, and they pulled me up on stage to kind of rally everybody because I'm the Bills sideline reporter. Like, it was like being in Buffalo. It was unbelievable. So, but I'll tell you, it's a fun time. And, you go to all these away cities, and I think generally, never had any problems with Titans fans necessarily and stuff like that. I'm sure some of those things kind of happen, but we can all coexist and have fun and just say, hey, football's back, let's enjoy it. But I will tell you, when the Titans have the ball on Monday night, it will be loud in the stadium because Bills fans will be loud.
I don't doubt it. We've talked about this for years. Because it's such a great city to zip in, spend the weekend, zip out, there has been issues with a lot of opposing teams' fans, and we know that the Bills are going to bring it. No question about it.
Hey, by the way, I'll throw this out too. The Bills owners, Kim and Terry Pagula, they're in a few different businesses. They also own a record label.
They do.
That's based in Nashville. It's Black River Entertainment, I believe it's called. So a few years ago, they had like a big party there and everything. So there's a big tie-in too to the ownership of the Bills to that city.
Yep, they're on Music Row for sure. No doubt about it. Hey, Sal, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your time here, and appreciate all the info, and we'll talk down the road.
Can't wait to get down there, guys. Thanks a lot for having me.
Great stuff.
Really good stuff. Really, really good.
We got to find this guy. Yeah. We got to find this guy that's somewhere downtown right now. We got to.
I know.
See if he'll come on the show between now and then. Just get the update of the week in Nashville leading up to Monday night. Because you got an extra day with it being Monday night.
That's good. That's good. Sal Capaccio joining us, so that was good. It was really good.
That was awesome.
Speaking of updates, there have been some updates to the Titans roster.
Yes.
We'll discuss on the other side. That, could have some significance. And actually one of those things, is we didn't get a chance to talk about it yet, happened after our show yesterday. And we'll talk about that as well. But right now I'm going to talk about my friends over at Cool Springs MD. They're my friends because I've been going there for years, and they've been helping me become healthier and happier. They've helped improve my quality of life for years, and I really appreciate it. In fact, Michelle has been taking great care of me over there for years. I love dealing with Michelle, but they're experienced staff. They've got a huge staff over there that can help you in a variety of ways. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge is the board-certified physician over there. His wife, Daphne's the registered nurse. And whether it's weight loss management, which is important, it's important to them and should be important to you, right? At some point in our adult life, or many times in our adult life, we tack on some unwanted pounds that we would love to get rid of. Well, they've got programs and products and people that can get you back on track and headed in the right direction. Rejuvenation, your appearance is important. It's important to me, and it gets tougher as we age. And their staff would love to sit down with you and talk about PRP, hair removal, Botox, and finally hormone therapy. Your levels dip as you age. Some dip to all-time lows the older you get, and it can affect you in a lot of areas. It can affect your mood. It can affect your drive, your energy. It can just affect you feeling off. You don't feel like yourself. Well, their staff can discuss BHRT, testosterone, estrogen. They do it all, and they do it all under one roof there in Cool Springs at 1642 Westgate Circle. If you need to learn everything about them, go to their website, coolspringsmd.com, or you can always pick up the phone And dial this number to schedule an appointment or a consultation. 615-283-7291. That's 283-7291.
Tune in all day Thursday as we get you set for the Nashville Predators season opener against the Seattle Kraken. We'll be giving away tickets to the opener every single hour throughout the day and unveil a special programming announcement at 8:30 during Robbie and Rex Road. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pill?